I'm going to start. I love it. We've got Lagos, Sweden, Milton, Ontario. I love the diverse audience. This is all, you know, this is why I'm in tech, right? Because tech has no barriers. It does not, there's nothing about, you know, which city you are. We can always connect from everywhere. Awesome. Ottawa, Winnipeg, Hamilton, Ontario. Really diverse. I love it. So keep repping your city so that we know where you are joining us from today. I'm joining you from the beautiful city of Hamilton in Ontario, Canada. And if you don't know where Hamilton is, if you are, you know, outside of Canada, so I'm pretty sure a lot of people know about Niagara Falls. So Hamilton is close to the city of Niagara. And Hamilton is known for its beautiful waterfalls, lots of mountains. It's a beautiful city. Okay. So keep repping your city so that we can shout out to you from wherever in the world that you are joining from. Keep repping your city. Give me a quick moment while we wait for folks to join. I am back. Sorry for that break in transmission. So, okay, lovely. We have a few folks that joined. We've got Alpharetta, Georgia, Missouri, USA, Washington, D.C. That's great. So keep repping your city as you join. And I want to thank you so much for joining this free information session. We'll start in the next 1 minute. I think we've given people enough time. I want to be mindful of everyone's time. And please still give me a thumbs up if you can still see my screen, the free information session screen. Awesome, awesome. So 1 more minute and we'll go ahead and start. Okay, we've got 2 people from Georgia. Awesome. Thank you for joining today and spending the time with us. It's going to be a fantastic presentation. And hopefully, my hope is that everyone can come away with learning something new today, right? Like learning something new today. You know, because obviously you're here not because you don't have anything to do. You're really here to maybe make change in your career, or you're just curious about what's Scrum about, right? How can I get more information about Scrum? So that's what today is all about. So we're at 12:05 and I'll go ahead and start. So thank you. Today, April 15, 2023, we're having a free information session on Scrum. I'll just like to run through the table of content to help you understand what to expect today. And it will help you to plan your time in terms of what segments are interesting to you. And of course, I know you have your questions. So I just want to be able to set expectation about how the question and the answers will flow, remembering that there's going to be a large audience here today. So I want to make sure that everybody's um, opinion gets heard. So today we're going to just run through we'll talk about us, Redluxe Consulting, um, our team. Then we'll talk about Agile. Some of you might already know about Agile, but some of you might not. We're just going to treat it as a discovery session for everybody. We'll talk about trends in Agile, and then we'll really go deep into what does career progression in Scrum look like. After that, I'm pretty sure you didn't come here to hear only me talk. I have a fantastic panel. Um, that will take some of your questions and answers because I really want to make sure that we get a balanced perspective, right? There's real people doing the job, so it's great to have conversations with them. And then finally, we'll talk about how do you become a Scrum Master. Of course, Redluxe helps people become Scrum Masters. And I will talk about how we can help you become Scrum Master. Finally, we'll have a Q&A segment, and then we'll close it with next steps of how you can contact us. So just a bit about us, Redluxe Consulting is dedicated to providing high quality Agile and Scrum training programs that enable individuals and organizations adopt and implement Agile methodology effectively. We've been incorporated since 2021. And the team. So I'm the key member of the team. Of course, I have a team behind me of assistants. But my name is Pamela Anolefo, popularly known as Coach Pam. And I have over 15 years experience in technology. So my background is I have a bachelor's in computer engineering with a master's in innovation and entrepreneurship. So I have 15 years of experience in technology as a release train engineer, scrum master, project manager, product manager, and business analyst across multiple industries. So I've worked in my primary industry where I've really worked in is financial services, but I've had different things in retail, insurance, not-for-profit, startups, and deep experience in the cards acquiring and payments space. So that's my background in a nutshell, and I'm pleased to be speaking to you all. I'm really humbled to have you all on the call. So today, to make sure that everyone's questions are answered and we don't skip over anyone, right? Because in this kind of series, people are raising their hands, we might miss you. I would like to request for you to go now to slido.com and enter the code. So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to do that. So browse through slido.com. I'll also put it in the chat. Browse through slido.com, submit the code 2694105. When you do that, you will see a screen that allows you to submit your question. So as we're going through the slides, please, as we're going through the slides, anything that comes to your mind, just go into Slido and submit your questions there. Oh, sorry. where those bubbles came from. That's interesting.
I agree to that. As I said before, we are here for you, 100 Degrees team, and even I myself.
Okay, sorry. Let me move. Okay, so I've put the code in the chat and I'll be reminding folks occasionally to go there. So why don't we go ahead and start? What is Agile? So a lot of us have heard about Agile. And while I'm chatting, I'm going to say, in the chat, you can put newbie if, on a scale of 1 to 10. What is your skill level in Agile? How much of Agile do you know on a scale of 1 to 10? Let's see that in the chat. Let's make it really interactive so that we know how to approach today's conversation. On a scale of 1 to 10, feel free, don't be shy. I love it. 1, 3, 5. 1. Okay, keep it coming. So I'm just going to I'll just assume that everyone is still new to Agile. So I'll try to break it down, right? So Agile is a software development approach that teams use to deliver value to customers in smaller, faster, and more frequent releases. So what Agile looks at is really an iterative and incremental approach to delivering value to people. So to break it down in simple English, imagine if you commission someone to build a painting for you, and they told you it was going to take 3 months, right? Imagine that, right? And then you have to wait for 3 months to see this picture. Now, you don't have any idea if this picture, one, is going to meet your request in terms of quality, or even if it's going to ever get done in 3 months, right? So what Agile really looks at is, rather than wait for like 3 months to get a final painting, I want to be able to see my picture developing, right, at regular intervals. So in Agile, we focus on more frequent value to the customer. And by this, in terms of this picture, is okay, let's say for week 1, the painter has gone and done a sketch of the woman and maybe gives you an idea of how the face would look. Then you're able to get feedback, and the painter can get feedback from you, and you say, like, you know what, I don't like the skin tone, I don't like the hair, I need you to change it, right? So that way you keep seeing your product, in this case the picture, unfold in front of your eyes, and you can make sure that the right quality is being built into it. Now, in doing this, getting feedback, it means that Agile teams are able to work faster, because when they are motivated and knowing that they're building the right thing, they are able to stay on track. And at the end of the day, please, I'll also ask you to mute yourself. Please mute yourself if you're not, until it's time for you to talk, so that others can concentrate. So at the end of the day, we're focusing on incremental and iterative development. So give me a thumbs up. Which one would you prefer? To wait for 3 months to see your picture, or to at least see maybe every 2 weeks your picture emerging in front of your eyes, and you can give feedback? Thumbs up if you prefer approach 1 of waiting for 3 months, or approach 2 of waiting of seeing it like more frequently, every 1 month, every 1 week, or every 2 weeks. Approach 2. I love it. So I think that you guys are going to really like Agile. Someone says 1. Okay, I'd love to ask you about that, but we'll get to that later. So that's Agile, right? Now I want to talk about some trends in the market. So as you all know, every industry has some trends that drive it, right? It just doesn't exist in silos. Just give me a moment. I'd like to mute everybody. Yeah. Okay. So there's trends that are driving the market. That's why it's one is increasing the demand for Scrum Masters. We all know that companies want ROI, right? Return on their investment. They don't do anything just for no reason. There's trends in the industry that are driving the growth in Agile. And trust me, it's been around for a very long time, probably older than the 1990s, right? So the first trend is what we call skilled agility. And like I said, so these are information sessions. So we're not going to do deep dive into training, right? So skilled agile is a framework that allows large organizations to apply agile at a large scale. Typically, when we think of agile, we're thinking of small teams that are working really fast, right, to deliver value. But how can companies that of 90,000 employees, 100,000 employees or more, how are they able to stay agile in a changing environment? The framework they use is called scaled agile. For example, I said I was a release train engineer. Release train engineer is a role in scaled agile in addition to Scrum Masters, right? So large organizations that have significant number of employees and teams that work on products use this approach to be able to deliver value to their customers much more frequently, right? So imagine an organization that has hundreds of developers working on a product, right? These teams might be working on the same product but different parts of it. So how does an organization make sure that they're building the right quality across the different teams? They use this framework to do that. And the teams have to plan their delivery in what we call PIs. So PIs start every quarter. More to come on Skilled Agile if you ever joined our training. So that's Skilled Agile. The other trend that is driving the growth in agility for companies, what we call business agility. So business agility simply means the ability of organizations to rapidly respond to changes in the market and thrive in an increasingly changing environment, right? The world is changing really rapidly. Like think about it. You know how long it used to take for new phones to come out back in the early 2000s, right? But now it's like I don't even bother changing my phone anymore because I don't even see the difference between one phone to the next, right? Like I barely change my phone. But back then, like it would take 2 years or 3 years before they bring out a new phone and it was so cutting edge, like way different from the other phone. But now things are changing, right? And organizations are really struggling to stay relevant to customers. For organizations to stay relevant, they need to become more innovative. They need to be able to 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 keep their customers' attention, and they must be more flexible, right? And if a company refuses to be agile, they're going to die because they are not competing in a silo. They are competing in a world where they are always trying to outlearn and outperform their competitors. Let's agree, right? Every company is trying to outlearn and outperform their competitors. And so if they're not agile, then they're going to die. And so for companies to become agile, they need to look into their organization and change their strategy, their operations, so that they can become agile. And that's where Scrum Masters, as well as other agile professionals, come in, right? Because companies are trying to become more agile. And don't forget, please put your questions in Slido. And if you just joined, continue to rep your city in the chat if you missed that. And then the most popular agile trend is Scrum. I'm just going to mention to you that agile is an umbrella term under which different frameworks exist. We have lots of frameworks. We have Kanban for those who are aware of agile a bit. We have Kanban, we have Scrum. Scrum is very, very popular, probably the most popular. We have extreme programming, we have less. we have so many kinds of frameworks under Agile. But the most common one that is lightweight, and the reason why it's common is because it's so simple to implement, is Scrum. So according to the Scrum guide, Scrum was developed in the 1990s, and it's a lightweight framework that helps teams and organizations generate value through adaptive solutions for complex problems. If you remember the first image we saw about the painter that had the painting that was kind of evolving over time, right? Now, Agile itself is kind of like very high level. It's a concept, right? Very abstract. But Scrum now takes Agile to and says, this is how you should implement agility in a company, right? And so that's where Scrum comes in. So if there's one takeaway you're going to go away with today, is that Agile itself is a big umbrella. It's a concept. It's a set of principles or manifestos, right? And then there are different ways to implement Agile in your organization. Companies can implement it with different ways. Some companies might not implement Scrum. They might implement Kanban, right? But specifically, you now know that Scrum is underneath the Agile umbrella. So if you came into this class and saying you only had your knowledge of Agile was 1, I would say add 0.5 to it. Like you're no more at 1 after this conversation. So Scrum is better suited for small and nimble teams. So when we talk about Agile, if we really put it down in terms of like the English language, Agile is being fast, being quick. So if you're a big and unwieldy team, you're not going to be Agile. So it's suited for teams of 3 to 10 people so that communication is seamless and so that the team can continue to deliver value. Think about it. If we were a team of 50 people, we're not going to be communicating really well, right? But think about it. Compare a team of 50 to a team of 10, a team of 9, a team of 5. Our communication will be seamless and we can actually work faster because we know what everybody is doing. We know what everybody needs to do. And if there are problems, we can come together and quickly fix it. So Scrum is better suited for small teams so that they can continue to deliver value. Now, and for Scrum to be effective, a Scrum team consists of 3 roles: the Scrum Master, the product owner, and the developers. You're going to notice, however, that these images I use, and please confirm you're still seeing my screen, right? These images that I used, right, are not for fancy. They actually mean something. The Scrum Master is always going to be a single individual. The product owner will always be a single individual, but the developers would be more than one person, right? So that's what makes up the Scrum team, right? Now let's see what do they even really do, right? The Scrum Master is a person we call a servant leader. The reason why a Scrum Master is called a servant leader is that they don't do the work. They really can't tell the team how to work, but their role is to coach the team, the developers, the product owners, and the business and the organization on the Scrum process. So the Scrum Master is the expert in Agile, the expert in Scrum, and they're bringing the Scrum framework with its roles, responsibilities, events, and artifacts, and telling the company, this is how to implement it so that you can continue to deliver value. And they continue to coach the team in their adoption. So the Scrum Master really facilitates all the Scrum events that a team would have to do to continue to deliver value. Now we go on to the next role, the product owner. The product owner is kind of like the CEO of the product. So every time we're building a product, so think about your banking app, for example. Someone somewhere is the owner of that product, right? And what they do is their focus is to define the why, the who, and the what of the product being developed. They own the decision of the features that the product should contain, right? So they've done their market analysis, they know who the customer is, what the customer needs are, and they work with the team to say, this is what I want us to build for the customer. The thing you're going to notice about the Scrum Master and the product owners is that they are not the actual ones that do the work in the team. We're getting to the people who do the main work to bring out value, right, for the team. The developers, these are the cool kids, the cool guys. See them like really looking nice in their suits, even though in real life they don't really wear suits. We know that all our developers are very chill. They love to kick back, wear their denim and t-shirts, very cool guys, but they perform magic in front of a computer. So the developers are a self-organizing. So when we talk about self-organizing, they know what work they're meant to do and they take the work. And cross-functional group of people. So if we're looking at a particular team and we say we need 5 kinds of, let's just say, 3 types of developers for different parts of the system, we want to make sure that we have that number, those people in the team, like in that particular team. Because if we don't have all that it takes to deliver the product on a team, then this team is no more agile, right? So the developers are equipped with all the skills, roles necessary to implement the product successfully. I would like to put a caveat here though. In Scrum, they call them developers, but in real life, there's more to the development team. You will find in the development team roles such as QA. We'll have our testers, because when developers code, someone has to test and make sure that the system is working as expected. So you're going to find within the development team, not just our developers, right? Not just our developers, we're going to find like QA, we might find BA, we might find some architects there sometimes. So it's more than that. So this is the Scrum team. So if you eventually become a Scrum Master, this is kind of like the team you're going to be playing in. One of the things they're going to find out is that there's no managers here, there's no leaders. It's a fantastic place to work because there is what we call psychological safety. People can speak up and they continue to evolve, right? So I want us to watch a video. Give me a moment. I need to share this with sound. Share with sound. But before I share, sorry, someone was saying, is anyone having issues with Slido? Hopefully I didn't put the wrong code while I was typing. All right, great. Okay. So Slido is all good. All right. So let me share my screen. Let's watch this video. So now I'm going to play a video that kind of explains to you in a bit of detail about Scrum. I will play this.
Suppose you'd like to...
Can you hear the sound? Thumbs up if you heard the sound. I just want to be sure that we can hear the sound before I go further.
Start a new project.
Yeah.
Usually you'd draw up a plan, make a schedule, find a project manager, hold endless meetings, and ultimately, just hope you don't stumble before you reach the finish line. But what does that usually deliver? Everything's more expensive than expected. You stress about your deadline. The end result could have been better, and energy has drained from your team. These problems are solved with Scrum. With Scrum, you write fewer plans and you do more. In short cycles, we call sprints. You don't work on separate islands, but as one dedicated team. Instead of working on a project with a distant deadline, you constantly deliver functioning products. You don't use final evaluations, but you receive continuous feedback. Scrum is a flexible way of working in a rapidly changing world. It's frequently used in IT projects, so many of the websites you visit or apps you use were made using Scrum. This way of working is used more and more. Scrum was recently used to build a large new bridge, but it can also be used to develop new products, compile budgets and annual reports, organize events in your town, or even to set up a completely new company. How does Scrum work? Let's use the marketing campaign for a new car as an example. In the first week, you take action right away. You share a glimpse of your design through social media. The feedback you receive will be used in week 2. You attract media attention, which leads to new feedback for making improvements. We call these weeks sprints, which are actually mini projects that each produce their own specific results. Instead of knowing exactly where you want to end up, you take a step-by-step approach as you work towards your final ambition, like the successful launch of a new car. A Scrum team has stand-up meetings, works transparently, feels a joint responsibility, is aware of the progress made every day, and has results to celebrate after each sprint. Scrum has 3 roles. First, the product owner, the key stakeholder with a vision who provides direction to the team for each sprint. Then there are team members, 5 to 9 professionals in various disciplines who are jointly responsible for the results. The Scrum Master, a facilitator who focuses completely on the process. Then there are Scrum lists, the product backlog in which you list your ambitions and express how you intend to achieve them. The sprint backlog, the shopping list of products you want to produce in the next sprint. The definition of done indicates precisely what needs to be done by the end of the sprint. And the Scrum board. This shows all of the team members' tasks, which will change from to do to busy to done during a sprint. Then there are 4 meetings. First, the sprint planning meeting. What exactly are we going to achieve during this sprint, and who's doing what? Next, the stand-up. Is everything going according to plan, and are we going to make it? The third meeting is the review, during which you deliver your results and receive feedback. The last meeting is the retrospective. You look back on the process and reflect on what you can improve as a team for the next sprint. Scrum is a powerful way of working that provides speed and energy. Maybe something for your organization too?
Awesome. So thanks for watching. So now let's talk about career progression. So now you know about Scrum. You have an idea about what this looks like. Not really, but you're going to learn about that in class. Scrum is a really good career to get into. Sometimes we get into career, we're not sure why we got into, and then we find out that we get to a plateau. We can't go beyond that. We can't end beyond that, right? But one good thing about Scrum is that multiple roles exist in Scrum apart from Scrum Master. And so based on your experience level and the number of years you put in and your interest, the growth outlook for Agile professionals looks amazing. So Scrum Masters can progress into these roles. Senior Scrum Master, they can become Senior Scrum Masters. So Senior Scrum Masters are like people who have more level of expertise in Scrum, and they are expected to take a tougher team, maybe more teams, or are required to demonstrate higher levels of Scrum within an organization. A Scrum Master can decide to become a product owner. They can decide to be an Agile coach, right? So think of an Agile coach, coaches the organization in Scrum, coaches the Scrum team in Scrum, and also coaches a Scrum Master. So those are roles too in Scrum. We talked about skilled Agile. So another role within Scrum is the release train engineer. So in skilled Agile at large companies, where the organization has multiple Scrum teams, like where I work, well, I think we're about 100,000 employees. We have multiple teams that are delivering similar value. And so the release train engineer is really like, think of them as a chief Scrum Master, a Scrum Master of Scrum Masters that is overseeing what we call Agile release trains. So an Agile release trains are like different teams that are delivering value and will release to the environment at the same time. So if you think of a Scrum Master as a project manager, think of a release train engineer as a program manager. In the same vein, also like much higher than the release train engineer is a solution train engineer, also a higher level Scrum Master. But if you think of a Scrum Master as a product manager, as a project manager, sorry, and a release train engineer as a program manager, you think of a solution train engineer as a portfolio manager. So at the third layer, at the higher layer. And then there are other roles. There's what we call governance roles in Agile. So every time a company implements Agile, they have to create like a framework for how they implement Agile for the team. So think of it as the guidelines for a company. They're not going to just say, go and become a Scrum Master. There will be guidelines of how the company implements Scrum. And so there's teams of Scrum Masters or Agile professionals whose work is not day-to-day Scrum, but because they are Scrum experts, they are creating the guidelines that help other Scrum Masters who are actually in the field or in Scrum teams work. So there's roles in that. So it's governance roles in Agile Centers of Excellence. And of course, Scrum Masters report into what we call team leaders or practice leads, people who are the managers for Scrum Masters. You can eventually stop being a Scrum Master and be overseeing numbers of Scrum Master and helping them in their growth in the organization. And finally, the executive roles in Scrum, right? You can go to become a VP, SVP, director in a company for Scrum. So the outlook is great. And so it depends on where you want to take your career to. So don't forget to keep on putting your questions in the slide deck. So this is a word cloud of people who have transitioned to Scrum, right? So you know, Scrum is one of those careers where you don't need tech experience. If you have tech experience, amazing. If you don't, it doesn't stop you, because remember, you're not coding, you're not going to go and be coding on the system, right? So you just have to be trained in Scrum. As long as they are trained in Scrum and you have certification, you can become a Scrum Master. So people have moved into this role from manufacturing, pharmacy. People who have been unemployed have gotten roles as Scrum Masters, lawyers, folks in entertainment. I had someone in my class who was in the entertainment industry from day one, and they're on their path to becoming a Scrum Master. We have homemakers, we have people in oil and gas, we have bankers, marketing. This is just a word cloud. There's so many different people without technology experience that have made the transition. So in case you have any questions about is this a good fit for me even without technology experience, please put it in the Q&A and we'll get there. Right. So what does the industry look like? Why should you care about getting into Scrum? Like, we all know that technology is lucrative. So definitely, like, that one is there. You can Google it. It's really straightforward. Technology is very lucrative. It's going to stay relevant for years to come. We're seeing what's happening with ChatGPT. We're seeing what's really happening with AI is taking over. That's technology. So you have to be somewhere. You have to be really strategically placed in technology in one way or the other to stay relevant. So these are some of the daily job numbers I'm seeing from my research. Like, this is my own personal research. We're seeing daily job numbers in Canada about 50K plus, in the US about 50K plus, and this is from job boards. I did my research and I crunched numbers from job boards, and this is the ones that are advertised, right? We all know that there's a hidden job market, right? So this is not the hidden one. This is not the hidden one. So imagine there's hidden roles within organizations where they need Scrum Masters. And so if you have certification, you've been trained, and you're networking with other Scrum Masters, you are prepped to be able to get that role, whether it's the ones that are posted on job boards or the hidden job market. You can work remotely from anywhere in the world, because you don't have to be on all you need is a working laptop and a good internet connection, and you can work anywhere. The good thing about Scrum is that even as an entry-level Scrum Master, because this is such a specialized role, even as an entry-level Scrum Master, you are going to earn at least 90K. Take it to the bank if you negotiate well, right? That is the minimum, even as an entry-level Scrum Master. We're seeing salary ranges on the internet, and because like the internet is really subjective, there might be more, but we're seeing salary ranges of between 90 to 140K for Scrum Masters. Now, these salaries get higher depending on what you eventually go on to do, right? So if you go on to become like more senior people, your salary continues to grow. And of course, I already mentioned ability to work in a lucrative tech field with limited or no tech skills. No technology experience is required, right? And you just need zero coding skills. So no coding skills are required. And one of the things I like the most, we're going to talk to some Scrum Masters today, is the job satisfaction, helping other people succeed. I have, I have one of my really experienced Scrum Master and now Agile coach on the call. He's going to talk about it. Like, that's one of the things we really get, is because we're not really doing the work, but we help other people succeed. And no working on weekends or after hours. I tell you, like, this is the best. Like, you're not working on weekends, you're not working after hours. And I know someone asked me if I'm going to send this slide. Yes, I'll send the slide, and you can always watch a replay on my YouTube. So we're going into the panel segment. I'm going to put this here in case you joined late. Please go to Slido now and put your questions in Slido, because we're getting to the point where we're going to have the panel and we'll get to answering your questions. Awesome. So I'm going to introduce my panel. I'm so excited to have them. So I have Sadiq Ojedoko. He is an Agile and Safe coach. I have the pleasure of working with Sadiq. I know what he's capable of. And that's why I had him here. It's going to bring that fire and that energy, like ask him all of the questions. And then I'm also bringing here to speak Ajike Shola Adeniyi. Ajike is one of my star students. She's a Redluxe alumni. She is a Scrum Master as well. So Ajike will bring in that perspective too, from like, how has the program helped her? What are her successes? So without further ado, I'll start first. So Dee, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Pam. Hi, everybody. My name is Sadiq. I'm sure some of you on the call knows, me as Yinka, some people, maybe Toby. So happy to be here, been in this game for, I'd say 11 years now, started off as a project manager, but not your regular technical project manager, let me say marketing manager, and then transitioned from that to Scrum, and move up the ladder to being a coach and also a trainer at the moment. So I worked in the telecommunication space back in Nigeria, moved from that to the gaming sector, gaming and entertainment sector, and then to the banking sector here in Canada. And I also have a few gigs with the banking and insurance sector in the States. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell. There's going to be a lot more to talk about as the session, progresses. But for now, I think I'm going to keep it short and probably pass it back to Pamela.
I love it, short and sweet. So I will invite Ajike. Please do a brief introduction.
Okay, I hope everybody can hear me. Hello, my name is Ajike Shola Adeniyi, and I am a Scrum Master, and I'm an alumni of Redluxe. And I would say, like Pamela said, everybody has used Scrum in one way or the other, and I've been able to translate my skills and everything I've used over the years to become a Scrum Master. So I think that is where I am in my journey. And I think for now, keep quiet. So when Pamela gets, she'll probably bring up some questions that I can answer better. But in a nutshell, that's what it is.
Awesome. So I'm going to go over to Slido. Just give me a moment, guys. Let's do this. I love it. So before we take the questions, I want to ask you guys some questions. Why do you? So I'm going to start with Sadiq. Sadiq, why do you like, the role?
I think first things first, it's all about trying to help, the organization succeed in whatever it is that we're trying to do. There's a reason why most organizations or many organizations these days are moving from the traditional waterfall, that I believe some of us are so used to the new way of doing things, the agile way of doing things. It's pretty much to speed up, production or whatever it is that the company or the organization is working on. And it feels really good to know that your team can actually count on you to help them increase the flow of the processes that they take to getting those work done, without reducing the quality of whatever it is that you're trying to do. Also, the ability to be able to coach the team to imbibe the skills of getting early feedback, to better the work that they do on a day-to-day basis. The ability to add value, beyond the team level, coaching to the organizational level coaching. I think all of these things will just keep giving you the fire that you need. And that's not to say that I'm not going to talk about the money as well, So, that's also, I don't see so many career paths that you get to earn a lot of money for just nudging people on to do what they are good at doing, but probably doesn't know that they are that good at doing it. So you're there to just push people to be their best self, and you're getting paid for it. So what's not to like about it?
Exactly, right? Helping other people succeed is amazing. So someone asked me, do you share the presentation after this session? Yes, I will share it. So let's mark that as complete. Now, can a person be are there Scrum teams that are larger than 10, or is 10 the mandatory limit? Sorry, can you answer this? I'm just picking on the today.
Yeah, ideally, a Scrum team should not be larger than 10. It should be less than 10. Perfect, number would be 9, but we know there's something we call doing something by the book. And there's also something we call, doing it in reality, right? The actual fact is some organizations would have as little as 3 or 4, and some would have as much as 13, 14 members in a team, so ideally it should not be more than 10, but in reality, you can see certain Scrum teams, being more than 10, and it's abnormal, but it doesn't mean they will be less productive. So I think it's a case of just leveraging the skills that you have within the team and, letting them work, bring their best self to the fore every time you work with the team.
Yeah, you're right. But again, there is a number they get to that we know that they have to be divided, right? Like, let's agree. We're not going.
Yes.
A Scrum team of 15 is never going to be
No.
ideal at all. Like at a point in time, I get you. Maybe they can get away with 10, with 11, but at some point in time, a Scrum team becomes unwieldy, right? Some people are not going to be doing the work. Some people will be more vocal. Some people will do more of the work, right? I agree. Okay. So let's mark this as done. Can a person be a Scrum master for more than one team? Coach.
This is another phase of what Scrum recommended and what is actually happening in the industry right now. Ideally, it should be one Scrum master per one team, but in the game right now, you can have 3 teams as a Scrum master. They would not be able to maximize, the qualities that you bring, on all fronts, but the organizations don't seem to really care about, the books all of the time. So yes, I'd say right now it is pretty common for a Scrum master to have more than one team.
Yep, exactly. Because at the end of the day, it's all about, let's think about it really. Every company is trying to maximize their ROI. They have to manage their resourcing levels, of course, because they work in a world where they have to maximize profits, right? So they're going to see a Scrum master on more than one team. In my opinion, I think a Scrum master can manage 2 teams, but anything more than 2 becomes the Scrum master cannot be an effective Scrum master
because
in more than 2 teams. Yes.
Yeah, because you'll have to look at it from, how do you facilitate the event, you go from, say, for instance, you work in an organization that have like a stipulated dates for certain events. Maybe you're talking about sprint planning, you're talking about, maybe the sprint retro or the review. Think about it from the angle of, I have 3 teams and I have to do sprint planning for the 3 teams in one day. Maybe the team that will be getting the best of you will be the one that you're starting with. And by the end of the day, the third team, you're just going to be scrambling to just get the work over the line. And that keeps you like that. That's not really good for the team, because you can make mistakes along the way of planning. And then you get into the middle of the sprint and then you're realizing that, oh, well, maybe you missed something during the planning, because maybe by the time you're doing planning with them, you have a mental block and you're just not picking up on certain information that you should have considered while you're doing the planning. So it's just, it's a dicey situation. But like we said, organizations want to like maximize everything, and they just load you up with teams.
Yeah, exactly. So now this question is for GK. What is the difference between Scrum and Agile?
Okay, like Pamela said, I was listening to you. Scrum is like the bigger umbrella. You can just imagine, an umbrella. And Scrum is the principles, a set of values that you must follow, or you have to follow for improvements, for organizational improvement, improvements in your teams. But this Scrum is one of the ways. You have Scrum, you have Kanban, you have XP. Some people even go ahead, some people have customized. Some companies have customized frameworks. They will customize it, they'll look at what it is, if it's Scrum, and customize it to what they want. So people use hybrid, like you have Scrum and Kanban, they call it Scrum Ban. It just depends. Like I always tell people, it's someone that created these frameworks. And I think at times you can look at your own life and find a way to be agile and give it a name. I do that personally a lot. I do that in the way I run my life, the way I run my business. So I think because I was very agile in my personal life, I was able to understand the concepts early and grasp the understanding. Because I always tell people, Scrum is easy to read, but difficult to understand. I know it's difficult for some people, because some people still come, what's the difference between Scrum and Agile? What's the difference? I think that's one very
yes. And that's why you come, right? That's why you have a trainer that will train you
Yeah, that's why you have a trainer that will.
So I'll let Sadiq also answer that, because I want to be able to show that we have a balanced perspective. I already explained the difference. So coach, explain to them so that they know what the difference. Is there really a difference? I would say, what is the relationship actually?
Okay, so Scrum is like a framework under Agile. The main umbrella where you have all the branches, or the main tree that has all the branches, is Agile. And then you have the branches like Scrum, you have Kanban, you have Safe. Now people are chipping Safe as part of, the framework.
The scaling framework, yeah.
Yeah, so you have less, and then you have the XP, extreme programming. So I know this is high level talks, right? But let me try to break it down. Say, as a person, you're going to work every day, and you need a means of transportation to get to where you're going. So the value that you're looking for is to get to work safely, right? And maybe right on time as well. So you have the main thing, which is more of transportation is going to be like, how do I get to work? That's your Agile. So there are several branches, or there are several routes that you can take. Either you use the train, either you use the bus, either you use you drive, you use a scooter, you use maybe a skating board or whatever to get to where you're going to.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, so exactly.
You get to your destination. So see the transportation here as the Agile, that's the umbrella. And then the branches will be, am I going to drive down to the office? Am I looking at the timing? Do I want to use the GO train? For some of us in Canada, do I want to use the normal TTC bus? Do I want to use the GO bus? that's pretty much it. But at the end of
Remember,
the day,
we have a diverse audience. We have people just from Nigeria and Sweden. They don't know the goal. They don't know TTT.
Yeah, that was why I put the caveat of for those of us in Canada. So I mean, in Nigeria, you can say you want to use Molo and you want to use the black and yellow buses. You want to use Uber.
Yeah, one of the things that I always like to say, right? Like if we want to bring it home, right? Think of medicine, right? There's different branches of medicine. We do know that there's, the contemporary medicine and there is the holistic medicine. Let's put it like that. It's all medicine, right? But there's this is my approach to implementing medicine in real life. So Agile is the principles, very abstract, kind of very aspirational, right? And Scrum itself just takes it down and say, this is a specific way you're going to implement it in your organization. I love it. The other question we've got is someone says, what is the transition like from someone who works as a QA engineer lead, as a manual tester, cybersecurity? Okay, I'll take this because I have had QAs. I find that QAs actually transition to Scrum much faster. Depending on if you worked in a typical Scrum team, if you did not work in a Scrum team and you worked in a regular hybrid, like a regular traditional waterfall team, you already understand all those concepts about testing. Maybe you know about user stories, but it's way faster for someone like you because you're already in technology, right? So what you'll be doing is attending a class with us, do your training, do the hands-on practical that we do, write your exam. And I feel like, even like a quick candidate to ace interviews, in my opinion. So it's really about signing up for a class and preparing for your interviews. Okay, so this question is, as a PM, how do you manage potential scope creep within Scrum on traditional project? We have so many questions. Wow, I love it. So my panel, I'm just going to say let's be, 1 minute answers would be great. So I want to get through everyone's questions before we kind of go to the next segment. So I would say, Coach Sadi, could you take this because you had PM experience, yeah?
Yeah. So potential scope creep. I think one of the things that Agile allows you to do is to prioritize your work. When you have scope creep, it's either you have to get it done ASAP. Something is coming in and you have to get that work done as soon as possible. When that happens, in Agile, what you do is you either check with the team that will do the work to see if they have the capacity to do it. If they don't have the capacity to do it, I think the first thing you want to do is to understand what is the priority. Is this something that is critical? Is this something that we have to do right now? If the answer is yes, you've ascertained the fact that it's something that has to go in. So you now check with the team that, do you have the capacity? Do you have the ability to do this within the space that we need to deliver the work? It's going to be a case of, oh yes.
Do you need to see? Yeah, I'm a dash. Yes, you can plug my phone.
Okay.
Come here.
So it's going to be, okay, let's take it in.
So Coach, just hold on. I'm going to mute everybody and then you have to unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Yeah. So sorry about that. So it's going to be a case of, now that we have the capacity, are we able to complete it? Or do we need to deprioritize something for what has already been planned for us to be able to do, what is needed, right now? So it's a case of you asking questions, knowing what is the priority for the item, for the scope that wants to come into the sprint, and then deciding with the team whether or not you have the capacity and the ability to do the work,
Yeah. So awesome. So just in closing, I'd just like to address it. This is a very good question, and it really shows that this person thought about it really, because that's one of the concerns of people who don't understand Scrum. One of the things I also want to mention is this: in Scrum, scope is not really fixed, right? At the end of the day, scope is not really fixed in terms of at the end of the day, we're trying to deliver a product to market that meets the customer's needs, right? And so Scrum teams work in a way where if if things change, they're able to change direction, right? That's why we have Scrum. Back in the day, like if you remember when I started, I said the reason why Scrum is becoming popular is because of business agility, right? Where in the 90s, it was kind of like the industrial, it was kind of like the industry age, right? Like the GEs, the mobiles were the biggest companies. Now, most of the biggest companies are the digital companies, right? What are they known for? They're known for like really responding to the market. Back in the 90s, it would take like 2 years for things to change. Now it's changing as quickly as 6 months, 3 months, right? So in this case, like you got to be able to respond to your customers' needs. And ultimately, when you get trained as a Scrum Master, you start to understand clearly what the rules are, right? The product owner is the CEO of the product and really owns the backlog. The product backlog is a list of features we want to release, right? So really, at the end of the day, they are the ones that have the final say what needs to be delivered. There is no PMs. PMs don't exist in the Scrum world, right? So again, Scrum is also involves a mindset shift. That's one of the things we're going to teach you. And that's one of the things they're going to teach your teams when you become Scrum Masters about that mindset shift, right, coach? The Agile mindset is what we're trying to do. So someone says, entry level, actually 90K. Yeah, it is. Actually, some people get more than that, their first jobs. Like just put that there, just to be more realistic. But if you negotiate well, you could even get 120. If the role of the Scrum Master is to coach, can the team develop enough experience as to make the role redundant over time? I'll take this question and I'll tell you, right? Every Scrum Master's role is to make sure that their teams become mature. It's not about holding on to the role, right? Is it possible that the role becomes redundant over time? No, it doesn't become redundant over time. If you work in a big organization, right? If you work in a big organization, the Scrum role will continue to exist, right? Now, for every kind of team, there's a skill set that is required. Like, I would not put a new Scrum Master to start up a new Scrum team. I'll put an experienced Scrum Master, right, to start up a new team because they have the skills to coach a team into Agile maturity. Now, if the team becomes mature, I might see, and there's a role that opens up for like a Scrum Master somewhere we want a more experienced Scrum Master. We'll move them there and put a newbie Scrum Master in the mature team because at that point in time, the team is new and the Scrum Master is able to still coast, right? Does the role become redundant over time? We've never seen it simply because someone has to make sure that the delivery continues. So it doesn't become redundant over time. However, your work becomes easier as a Scrum Master, but you still have a job in that team. You just maybe talk a little bit less, and you're proud to see that your team has learned from you. I think that's why we say that this role, there's a lot of satisfaction in it. Okay. What are the things that Scrum Masters do in their daily routine? This question, what I'll say is this: if you watch the video about before that I shared, this question was answered there, but if you didn't, you need to come to class so that I will teach you, right? The Scrum Master does all the Scrum events, daily stand-up, sprint planning, sprint review, sprint retrospective. They are a coach, right? Someone says, how do you get promotion to become a senior Scrum Master? What is the criteria? So do you want to take this question or should I?
Well, we can talk about it together. So I think it's about exerting yourself within the organization, having that influence outside of your current team, leading your fellow Scrum Masters, speaking up in, maybe your center of excellence calls, being good at what you do pretty much, and then showcasing that you can do what you do.
Somebody, please mute yourself. Go ahead and talk. I'll just find the person who's not muted. Go ahead.
So yeah, but before then, I think there are certain things that organizations would also look for. Maybe some organizations would tell you you need to have maybe 3 to 4 years of Scrum Master experience before they elevate you into the senior Scrum Master role. But pretty much in terms of your duties and responsibilities as either an entry-level Scrum Master or a senior Scrum Master, it's pretty much the same. It's just that the team is now going to look forward to, you know, learning a bit more from your experience and maybe feel more comfortable knowing that they can come to you with certain situations and you would have seen it, you know, been there, done that, and you can advise them based on that. So Pam, you can also speak about it.
So because I tend to speak with practice leads. So practice leads are people that Scrum Masters report into, right? I'll tell you some of the key things I've learned from talking to them and from my experience from being promoted is one, ability to solve problems, right? So if your people leader finds out that you are a problem solver, so if every time there's an issue in your team, you don't just come and escalate and you're constantly looking for someone to help you. You are able to say, this is a problem. These are some of the solutions that I want to try. I want to run it by you, my manager. What do you think? And get feedback and you go solve them. So if your manager sees you as a capable person, right? Problem solver, like you're not a textbook Scrum Master who just does everything by the book. Because as a Scrum Master in the real world, you're going to encounter real world scenarios and you are able to use that, your Scrum knowledge, but also real world experience to help your team get better. You're a problem solver one. They see that you go above and beyond, right? Example is you coach your team. So your team doesn't know something. Maybe you're setting up learning sessions for them to learn about something in Scrum. Also within the organization, they see that you volunteer a lot within the organization to do different things outside of your scope as a Scrum Master. It shows engagement, right? Like, okay, you're volunteering to do a lunch and learn somewhere. You're volunteering to coach to coach new Scrum Masters. That will get you promoted because what they're seeing is, we can give this person more responsibility because in their current role, we can see they're not struggling. They're taking responsibility. They are even developing colleagues within within the organization. So that's what will get you promoted as a senior Scrum Master. Not just about asking it, showing that you have the skills. As an entry level, what job opportunity can I dive into when I don't have work experience but have a CSM from a business background? What job opportunities can I dive into? Can you reach out to me because it's not very clear? Like as an entry level, are we talking about Scrum here? Keep applying for Scrum roles, but reach out to me specifically, Shakira, so that I think that maybe there's more behind this and I can help you address that, right? But are there work experience for new Scrum? I'll tell you though, like this is my own cheat sheet. If you are in Canada, I would always gravitate to the big 5 banks. They're always hiring Scrum Masters and they're so big and they have deep pockets and they're very focused about growth. They do hire sometimes like people who don't have that much experience because they really believe in growing their people. So that would be a cheat sheet, right? Coach, like in my opinion, like that's a good place to start.
Yeah, it is. And yeah, I think one thing that I can catch from that is that you don't have like a corporate work experience, and maybe pretty much you've been doing all your maybe work life is to run a business. I'd say you deal with people every day. You have soft skills. Be it, you don't have to be a leader in a corporate organization to become a Scrum Master. You lead people, you have business partners, you have people that you guide on what to do to continue to make your business successful. All of these traits, all of these soft skills are really what you need, because most times you're not helping people do their job. You're just nudging them on to go get the work done, without coming in as an authoritative person. You're coming in as a servant, like in the servant leadership. You're using the servant leadership approach to nudge people to say, oh, we need to get this thing done. What do you need to get this thing done? You're not telling them what to do. You're not giving them like solutions to their problems. You're just helping them think through things, so they can see a clearer picture of what they need to get done. So all of these things, I don't think you need any corporate experience for. I mean, I know some of us would, find ourselves in that new territory, and we need to get used to working in the corporate environment, which is going to be like a challenge that you can deal with. But that's not really, I don't think it's a knockoff for you to say,
yep,
you can't do this, or
and especially if you watched, one of my slides where I showed people who have made a successful transition, you'll still see it, so that you can see that anybody can make transition. How hard is it to find a job in Scrum? Okay, loaded question. Put it if the jobs are available, keep applying. That's what I always say. But when you apply, make sure you're putting forward your best resume. You might apply to 10 roles in a day, right? But there might be some companies or some roles that resonate with you. Make sure that you put in your best resume for that particular role. And then continue to network, one, and then get someone to prepare you for interviews, right? Watch interview preparation videos, talk to your friends who are Scrum Masters, network. There is a hidden job market out there. And if you're not talking to that Scrum Master, they might not remember you when someone says in their team that they're looking for a Scrum Master, right? Coach, what do you think about how hard is it to find a job in Scrum? In my opinion,
I think you nailed it pretty much. It's all about your resume. Everyone's going ATS friendly crazy in the industry right now. So you have to ensure that you have a very solid resume, ATS friendly resume, I'd say.
Yeah.
And also have a very good LinkedIn profile,
Okay.
And those things will get you, those two things will probably get you at in front of the door. But what would really scale you through the whole process is having a good mentor, that can prepare you for the interviews. What are the likely questions, because you don't want to go into these interviews as well speaking like a novice. Nobody wants to hire a novice, even if they feel you don't know something, you can show them traits of someone who is willing to learn, so all of these things you don't get to really figure out yourself. That's why you need like a coach or mentor to hold your hand through these spaces. I know a lot of people would say, I've been applying for a lot of jobs, I'm not getting a call back. A mentor would be able to
get
tell
a
you.
mentor to help you, because there might be something you're doing. Awesome. Exactly. Thanks, Coach. So I'm going to just switch over to Ajike. So Ajike, I want you to talk about your experience with the program, so the Redluxe training program, and I'd like you to highlight any of your successes, like your aha moments of the program. Then we'll go back to the questions.
Okay, thank you, Pamela. I actually did what Pamela just spoke about. The reason why I reached out to Pamela was to network. I had actually seen that, okay, she's in Ontario, and I needed to, have a coach, because I don't know what Canada is like. I've never been there. I don't know what it is. So I think for me, it was just in the spirit of agility to reach out to someone and talk to her. So I reached out to her. She said, okay, I'm doing this. I told her everything I'd been going through. I'd learned SQL, I'd learned Power BI, I know this, I know that. And she was like, oh, you remind me so much of myself when I was moving. Okay, come on to my program and let's see how it goes. And when I came to her program, we actually built a website. The team I was on, I think we were 2 teams, and each built a website. I don't know. Do you have the link, Pamela? I don't have it.
I don't have it here.
I'm using my phone now. If I was using my laptop, I'd have shared. So, we ended up, we ran a sprint. I think we had 2 sprints, and we ended up building an increment, just like what, so the program was very hands-on compared to, I'd done courses with other people, and it was really, really theoretical. So I had to really go deep into my own personal experiences to marry what I learned from Scrum into my life. I knew that I was Agile, because now I tell people I learned Scratch so that I could teach my son Scratch. I learned the abacus so that I could teach my son the abacus. So I've been that kind of parent. I would go to school. What is it? We would have meetings. In fact, I was already having review and retrospective, just that I did not know that was what it was called. I would sit down with the teachers, would draw out a plan, the action items. I would go home, I would work with him, and I was doing that. I was already running Scrum with my son. I was already doing that, running my father's business, running my brother's business, doing things like that. I was already doing it. So it was easy. And when we finished the program, I reached out to Pamela again, and we sat down and we looked at my CV. She sent me back many times.
I asked you to correct so many times.
She sent me back many times. What is this? Wait. And we would work on it. But she actually worked, when she saw that, okay, I'd worked to a particular level, she looked at us and said, okay, in fact, there was a typographical error I'd been looking at. At times you just take those things for granted. She was able to see it. I didn't see it. And she was able to circulate and say, see this, look at what you're doing. So I did that, and I started applying, like she said, 10 jobs a day. I started pushing out my CV. I would just, because I think another thing is that I have a type A personality. When I want to do something, I will bite into it. So is this thing she's telling you, every coach will coach you, but you have to do the work. That is the difference. What I've noticed about many people, I'm in Nigeria, and I would say many Nigerians, they want to be spoon-fed. No, coaching is not spoon-feeding. They will tell you what to do, you will go and do the work yourself. So I continued, one day I was checking my mail. I'm still in Nigeria, and at least I got an interview. I had the interview yesterday. So it goes to show that this is.
And how did you feel? What did you tell me after the interview? Because you sent me a message.
I felt elated because, in fact, I've over prepared. Pamela has over questioned my brain. She has asked me over syllabus. My brain was not working again. In fact, yesterday I cried before the interview. Let me know, because I felt really pressured. But it's better you over prepare than you are under prepared. So everything came, very naturally. We built a story about my life, about my job, not life, not that I'm from Kogi State. Not that one. My life, my job life. We looked at everything I'd gone through, and we're able to build a story. And I went into that interview. I'm very, I was happy with it. Although when you finish an interview later, you might begin to pick at yourself, but in that moment,
you were very confident. You were clear. So what she told me, so that's like, I'll tell you what she called me. I said, every question they asked me, I don't think that I didn't answer it correctly. They didn't come at me with anything that I don't think I was not prepared to answer. And for me, like, I was like, the way you sound, that's not what some people tell me. They say like, oh, I froze at this point. I'm like, so I'm very sure we're going to get to a second stage. And I think for me, the most important thing to know from this is that she's in Nigeria and she got her interview. She hasn't stepped. She's going to be in Canada maybe next month, and she got that interview, and she attended this class in January. And this is just one of the successes, right? I didn't want to make it about, if I remember my students here, there's so many of them passing exams. There's people who are getting there's people who are already in last stages of interviews, right? At this point in time. So thank you for sharing that perspective. I just wanted to make it more real for those who are asking. Is a Scrum Master the same as an Agile coach?
Let me speak a little bit on Ajike's story. And okay. I think it will take me back to having a good mentor for yourself. Because at every point in time, one thing most people don't realize is you've done Scrum, you've done Agile. Whatever it is that you've been doing, there's always something Agile about it. You just need someone to help you dig deep, find that space where you've done something that you can transmit to, whatever resume that you have. And, it's not going to be that you're going overboard speaking about these things in interviews. It's your reality. It's something that you've done. It's just that now you're able to place those things, those experiences in an Agile setting, and you're speaking about it confidently. So you're not pretty much lying to anybody about anything. What you've successfully done is bring a good mentor by your side to help you see those things that you've done that are Agile, and then you go forward and you speak to those things and you'll be fine. So yeah, to the question, Scrum Master is not the same as an Agile coach. We are like, Scrum Master is a coach but at the team level, but an Agile coach is a coach at the organization level. So, Scrum Masters have like events, Scrum events, if you're doing Kanban, you have certain events that you have to do, that you're leading for your team, you're facilitating for your team. But as an Agile coach, you don't have those events. But when it comes to organizing workshops, maybe you want to teach people, you notice that something isn't going as the way it should go, maybe your Scrum Master is having certain issues within their team, they come to you, to kind of get like coaching advice from you, for them to take back to their team to try to continue to make Scrum work or make Agile work, whatever framework you've decided to do within the organization. So it's not the same, but to just keep it at the high level, you see Scrum Master at the team level, you're working with the developers, you're working with the product owners, but the Agile coach is working with they are working with the Scrum Masters, they are working with the RTs, they are working with the executives, they are not directly involved with the activities at the team level.
Awesome. Thank you, Ajike and Coach Sadiq. I love these really clear answers you're giving and how you're engaging the audience. So awesome. Can anyone become a Scrum Master? Yes. Yes, anyone can become a Scrum Master. You just need to be trained as a Scrum Master. Feel free to reach out to me if you want, but stay on to the end. You will see our programs for becoming a Scrum Master. Thank you. Well explained. Does the entire team need Scrum knowledge, or is this something you introduce to the team? If new, how do you bring all on board? So this is a question. This is a good question. I'll just take a bit of it and then I'll pass it over to Sadiq to also answer. Is the entire team, that's why you are a Scrum Master, right? Your work is to teach them Scrum. So you're going to spend some time coaching your team on Scrum. That's why we call you a servant leader, and you coach the team in their adoption of Scrum. So you're going to take some time to introduce your team. You're going to continue to do this until they become mature. So that's about it. And if you join our class, we'll train you on how to become a good Scrum Master and really how you should be coaching your class. So, Coach.
Yeah, I think you pretty much explained it. But maybe some organizations would actually organize trainings, for the team members to be trained. But you see the everyday process of them adopting Scrum the right way lies with you. Like the responsibilities lie with you. So you have to constantly, make them drop the habit of whatever it is that they've been doing, the way they've been doing it, to how it should be done, in an Agile setting. So yes, they need the Scrum knowledge, but most of those teachings and coachings will come from you, the Scrum Master.
Okay, thank you. So someone said, how long does it take to become a Scrum Master? So fortunately for you, this is not medicine, neither is it a master's program, right? Lucky you don't have to spend a long time. You see our programs, we have two kinds of training. We have a 4-day training and we have a 6-week training. So that's about how long it takes you to get the knowledge to go write your exam. So you can become a Scrum Master. It's really up to you how long it takes you to go write your certification. Certification is very, I love to say it's straightforward and simple, but people challenge me because maybe say, oh, you've been there for a long time. I keep on telling people that the first time I wrote my Scrum certification, fortunately, my managers are not here. I wrote it in the office. It was a very boring day in the office. I checked my calendar. There were no meetings. I was like, what the heck? Let me go write this exam. And I just walked into a meeting room, booked some time for myself. In 1 hour, I came out. I already had the certification, but that's me. I wrote another Scrum certification on my bed in my room when my kids were sleeping because I was like, oh, it's quiet time. I think I'm tired of reading, and I wrote the exam just there. But really, to be serious, how long does it take? I'll share more information about our training in the next few slides, and you'll see how long it will take you to get the experience and the knowledge for your Scrum training. So 4 days, 6 weeks, depends on what your outcomes are for your Scrum training. We'll talk about that. If every organization adopts Scrum over time, will there be a need for a coach and a Scrum Master? Oh my God. If everybody adopts this, my goodness, the jobs will be so much, they might not be able to fill it. Yes. So let me explain to you what a Scrum Master's role is. As long as a Scrum team exists, there has to be a Scrum Master. If we go back to what I taught you, a Scrum team consists of a Scrum Master, the product owner, and the development team. You cannot have a Scrum team without a Scrum Master. So if more organizations adopt it, for sure, there'll be so much more demand for Scrum Masters, and you're going to be what I call booked and busy. Coach,
I think
words?
I'm going to keep this one short. Everyone's imbibing orthodox medicine. Does that mean we don't need a doctor?
Actually, need more doctors.
So you're the doctor of your team. You keep them on track. You ensure that they continue to follow the processes. For every mature team, there's always going to be a new team that you can move on to. If you feel like you've outgrown your team, or maybe your team doesn't need you anymore, there's also the transitioning from maybe the Scrum Master position to even a coaching role where you step up, take more responsibilities at the organizational level. And then they bring in a new Scrum Master, and then the progression goes on and on and on. And you can also progress from being a Scrum Master to an RTE, right? There are so many other roles within Agile that you can actually do.
So it's so busy today, so many questions. So this question not clear. Who is a business analyst Scrum Master? I'm going to skip it, and if you can ask it again, I'll get to it. But I want us to be able to wrap up questions so we can go to the next step. So this question says, does the team handle only one project at a time? Is it feasible in a startup? So Scrum teams work on products. If you come to class, you'll learn more about it. Is it feasible in a startup? Definitely, startup is one great place to use Scrum, for sure. This question is, I have a background in English language with basic computer skills. All jobs I've seen in Canada require a degree in computer science. Can you reach out to me? Let's talk about this. So all the jobs you've seen for Scrum, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Please reach out to me. Let's talk about no. And again, let's be honest, right? This is where, like I said, I'm going to say networking and mentorship really would help you get your foot into the door. So reach out to me, anonymous, and we can come up with a customized way to get you into the role. Reach out to me. Is a Scrum Master's daily role not a stereotype, repeated and mechanical? No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. Remember, you're actually working on real deliverable. You're not just going there to book a meeting and go like disinterested, right? There's actual work that people are doing. You're actually working with real people. So it's not mechanical, for sure. Will you get the recording? Yes, there'll be recording sent. What are the good keywords to add to make yourself stand out? Sorry, I skipped past that. Book some time with me to do a review, a scan of your resume for resume review. Someone from a medical background looking to transition, if feasible, what would you recommend? If you put this question, just stay on. Next slide, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how you can transition. You can transition. If my resume and LinkedIn profile lacks PM Scrum experience, what are the other things I can do? So you can volunteer. You can look for volunteer roles. That's one area I would advise. Look for volunteer roles to be able to do Scrum. So there's lots of people looking for someone to do Scrum training for them. Why not look for that, or reach out to me and I can help you. Let's figure out how to get you some of that Scrum experience. But coach, if you have anything else you think about.
No, I think yeah, the person.
Yeah, volunteer roles, but reach out to me. Let's see this a bit more. And then again, there's things you may have done that are translatable. We can look at your resume, you have a conversation, and you find out things in your current role, previous role that are translatable. And two, like one of the things that we do is that when you're doing our training, you're doing a real project. These are things that you can also put in your resume because you're going to be an actual Scrum Master when you're doing our training. You're going to be doing daily stand-up, sprint review, all of that. That's experience. That's work experience that no one can take away from you. That should go into your resume. After the class, do you help with interview prep and resume review? Yes, we do, depending on which training that you go for. And then finally, is the Scrum certification through PMI? So PMI has its own certification. PMI ACP. I don't have PMI ACP, and it's still a good experience to have, but the recommended certifications are either you get a CSM, Certified Scrum Master from Scrum Alliance, or you get the Professional Scrum Master certification from scrum.org. Those are the ideal ones that I would recommend. But please reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. PMI is Project Management Institute, because PMI realizes that now that Scrum is becoming more relevant than project management. So they're making every effort to make sure that they get with the times. Like, think about it. People have been asking, like, what about if Scrum becomes redundant? For PMI to change, they changed their syllabus last year, if I remember, early last year, or was it early 2021? Sorry, I think it might have been 2 years ago. Time really moves fast. They added Agile to it. It just tells you that Agile is here to stay. So I recommend that you do those two I mentioned, the CSM or the PSM one. And if you want to ask more questions, reach out to me. So we're getting to time, which is great. So how to become a Scrum Master? People have asked that question. We offer a simplified approach to raising and empowering a new generation of Scrum Masters to fill the growing need for Scrum Masters. I can tell you that it is growing. I work in organizations and I've seen it coming, right? The PM role will still be there, but it's going to become less desirable, and Scrum Masters are getting more desirable. And I'll tell you for free, Scrum Masters command a higher salary than project managers. Maybe the salary difference might not be too wide, I'll be honest, but they command a higher salary and they do less work, right? Sorry, I don't want to, like, give him an insight into like how much work a project manager would have to do.
No, it's a lot of work. I mean, you're part of requirement gathering, you're pretty much attending different calls, UAT, all those big stuff, as a PM. Just see it as you shedding, I'd say, up to 50% of the normal meetings or the normal events that you're going to attend as a PM. You're shedding it off when you become a Scrum Master. And this time, you're taking responsibility together as the team. It's not like someone is really looking out for you, stand alone, that you're responsible for whatever goes on within the team. In a Scrum team, everybody is responsible. But as a PM, you are solely responsible for the success of the project,
They hold you,
and
they hold you responsible. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that, because
and that
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
No, and that alone, kind of takes a little bit of weight, which might, maybe eventually affect the productivity within the team, because before anything falls back on your team members, they come to you first. That's not to say that you're not responsible for making Scrum work as a Scrum Master as well, but they know, most organizations or most leaders know that you're not the subject matter expert. So when they look out for, okay, who is gathering requirements, they know to look at the PO for that. When they want to look at who is delivering the work, they know to look at the developers for that one. So it is only when the Scrum is not working, or when it feels like the processes that you're taking to get the work done is not working, that's when they look at you and say, oh, what can we do to make the team better?
Exactly.
So it's a shared responsibility in the Scrum team.
So think of it like the Scrum Master role. Exactly, you cut your meetings by more than half, and you actually get twice the work done. Like, in my opinion, you see more value as a Scrum Master faster than a project manager who's kind of like has to keep on following up on everybody to find out what's going on. But the Scrum Master knows what's going on. So I want to really thank you so much, Sadiq and Ajike, for really being here and for answering these questions and for bringing your perspective. Thank you. So guys, I'm just going to be wrapping up in a few minutes. So this is how you become a Scrum Master. We have 2 training classes. So we have the Scrum Power Up training, which is a 6-week training. And we have the 4-day training, the bootcamp training. So the idea is to attend those classes, and after that, you take the Scrum certification. So let me just share more about so for those who asked questions before, these are the people who have successfully transitioned to Scrum, different roles, whether you are in medicine, you are a doctor, banker, whichever role you are, there's no barrier to you becoming a Scrum Master. So this is what our training looks like. The Scrum Power Up training is an intensive 6-week training. So it's 6 weeks. It's 6 weeks of training, right? And we have where you learn, first of all, you learn all of the theory, first of all, and then you have 1 month after that where you go and do hands-on practical on a real project. So as a Scrum Master, you get to facilitate daily stand-up, sprint planning, sprint review, sprint retrospective. You are going to use a tool. So you have, this package includes access to training videos, 6 weeks training. First 2 weeks we'll do class work where you learn all the key concepts, and then there's a 1 month practical training. You have access to a Scrum Master community on WhatsApp. So we're growing a community of people. You're not alone. You're not only going to talk to me. There are other Scrum Masters on your journey. There's those who are going to inspire you as well. And then you also get 2 free templates that are specifically created for me. I was once trained by somebody years ago, and I said to myself, when I train people, I'm going to make sure I give them the best knowledge they require. So these 2 templates are things I've created myself personally because I remember my days as a new Scrum Master. And I said, never again will anybody suffer and struggle after learning for 6 weeks. So a checklist of what to do in your first 1 month as a Scrum Master, written by me, practical experience. The next is what I call my Scrum Master event toolkit. So this toolkit is like, it tells you everything about, when you get your job on day one, if you're going to book your meetings, this is how you should book your meetings. This is what should be in the agenda. This is who needs to be in that meeting. So this is like, you get the job, you're not afraid. Even if you call me on the phone and I'm not available to answer you, you can basically be good on day one, right? So it's a Scrum Master toolkit for you. It's a 10-page document, simplified, right? And then there's post-training support. So we get to review your resume and make sure it's job ready and prepare you for your first interview. So that's 6 weeks. The training is $2,000. You can pay in installments, but for attending the information session, you get 10% discount. So if you want to sign up for this training, feel free to reach out to me. I'll let you know my contact details. You already have my email. Send a message to me. Automatically, you get a 10% discount by attending this training. And this is our bestseller because you basically go through this training, and then when you go for an interview and they're asking you questions, you're not guessing or thinking because you did it, right? So that's the Scrum Master Power Up training. Then, because we want to reach everybody, right? So this is the Scrum Master Power Up training. Just watch a video.
All in 6 weeks.
So hold on.
Here's how
this is how the training works.
Master training that prepares you for real-world experience. Then you've come to the right place. You'll learn all the skills you need to go from newbie to Agile expert without breaking a sweat, so you can secure a rewarding Scrum Master role and feel like a pro, all in 6 weeks. Here's how it works. The 4-day training takes you through the principles of the Scrum Guide, Scrum roles, Scrum events and artifacts, and deep dive into backlog management, user stories, setting up Scrum teams and Scrum metrics. Next comes a 1-month period where you'll experience a Scrum practice simulation on a real project. During this time, you will act as a Scrum Master and facilitate all Scrum events, including daily Scrum, sprint planning, sprint review, sprint retrospective and backlog refinement to help cement your understanding of the Scrum Guide. Best of all, you get to use the real software tools like Jira, Confluence, retrospective and estimation tools that Scrum teams use. You will be supported by an Agile coach who will guide you on Scrum best practices throughout your learning process. All classes are virtual. So, if you are ready to begin your learning process and kickstart a successful tech career in Scrum, why not go to our website and register for your preferred training program, and we will see you in class. Looking for a Scrum Master training that...
So that's that training. And then we have another training. So this is for people who maybe just want to jump straight to certification. And And so this training is called the bootcamp training. So it's a 4-day training. It's $600. And what you do is you get access to the training. You still get access to the Scrum, to our Scrum Master WhatsApp group. And then post-training support, we get to review your resume and give you feedback that would help you to, start your job search. After this training, you're able to take your certification. So this training is $600, but you get 10% off for attending the information session. So if you attended the session, it's 10% off for those that attended the session. So I'm so glad that you stayed here. I know we're 9 minutes over time, but it's been a great session. And so, please feel free to let us know. So 6, so someone says, okay, hold on, let me go back. 6 weeks training is 1,800. It's 1,800 Canadian, and 4 weeks training is, 4-day training is 600 Canadian. That's what it is. So this is how you can reach out to us. You can take a screenshot of this, reach out to us on Instagram, on our website, or by my phone number, and let us know when you want to sign up for the training. This discount is valid up until the end of the month. So, fastest fingers first. And
I think, sorry, Pam, I think you have a few questions in the
Slido in the chat.
No, the chat. Yes.
Okay, let me bring it up. Okay. Let me bring up my
things on. Roma is asking if you get to teach them the other programs or if they should know them before joining.
Okay, Roma, so Roma says, teachers all no, so I'm going to be teaching you. I will be training you, Roma, from scratch, right? That's the whole idea of the training. And if you're there, if you want to go, so this section is, feel free to unmute yourself if you want to ask your questions one-on-one. And someone said the Scrum, the training, the 6-week training is 1,800 for those that attended this session.
When is the start date?
So good.
Can I ask a question, please?
All right, I do. Yes.
I'm in the UK, so I just want to know what day and time are the training.
Okay.
So I can kind of adjust myself, please.
So it's June 10th. Good question. So the next training starts June 10th. And our training actually starts Saturday. So the first 2 weeks, Saturday and Sunday, right? We'll be starting it at I always start at 9 Eastern time, which is 2 o'clock UK. Is that Lola?
Eastern time, as in New York time. Yeah,
New York
is
time.
5 hours behind us. Yeah,
5 hours. So that's 2. I think that should be
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock your time,
you're
right? So that's for the first, the first half of the training actually is going to be like all the theory stuff, right? Because you have to understand the concepts and all of that, right? So Saturday and Sunday we'll do that for the first 2 weeks, right? And then 1 month we're just going to do the actual practical. So we're going to do it like we're doing in real life, right? So we usually do that every day. So not every day, sorry, every weekday, Monday to Friday, from 5 p.m. But it's real training, right? So you're not going to be, it's not a class. So if we're going to do a daily stand-up for 15 minutes, it's just 15 minutes. But usually because it's a training class, I always do my stand-up for 30 minutes because people are still learning. They want to ask me questions, right? So that's kind of like how it is, Lola. And if you drop your like, if you can also put your email in the chat and, I'll mail over specific details. Any other questions?
Oh, so I'm just joining. I think I'm late.
You are. So someone says, someone says, does the 4-day training have project work? No, unfortunately. No, so is the power up training that is 1,800. So for the 4-day training, there's no project work. No, there's no project work. It's simply you're going to learn about Scrum. You're going to be familiar about everything. You're just not going to do the practical. So the practical is the one that is the 1800. Yeah. So Naira equivalent, which training are you asking for the Naira equivalent? You can reach out to me though, and we can work it out. So feel free to send me an email. An email specific, and I can answer it. What do you offer people with training? Someone says, what do you offer people with training certifications already? So if you have certification, right? I always like to do an assessment, I'll be honest, right? Because how did you get a certification is the question I want to know. Did you read? Were you self-taught? But what I've found that people who have certifications have done is that they come straight into a practical session. So some of them say, I already have the knowledge. I do an assessment and I'm like, yeah, you have the knowledge. Okay, you can do only the practical session. So you could just only come in for the 1 month session. But I'll be honest, I've actually interviewed a lot of people and I find that by the time I ask a lot of questions, right? Certification is not, in my class when you come into my 4-day training, you're taught about how to write user stories. You don't get that in a certification class. Like we really like go deep. So I'll always recommend that anyone that has certifications, reach out to me, let's assess it. If you are good, then you just do a practical. No, the exams don't come with, the trainings don't come with the exam fee. The exam fee, you go and pay on scrum.org when you're ready to write, and the exam fee is just 250 USD. Just 250 USD. Any other questions? For those that just joined. Okay.
Are we going to have this full session anytime? Because we're just joining, so I don't know what's been said, what's been offered.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to upload the information session to YouTube. I will send you a link to my YouTube page to watch it. And I'll also send an email with next steps, like in terms of sign up for the training. It would also have a link to my calendar where you can book some time to talk to me if you need to. I'm always available for you guys. So, I'll send you, keep in touch with me on my socials, book a time on my calendar if you want to talk to me, but you'll get the video to watch. All right, everybody.
Sorry, one last question. The $1,800 one, does that include the Scrum.org